Hello to all CineMaster lovers. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. The story of the film begins with the world in ruins because, by the end of the 21st century, it became overpopulated, and pollution started to spread in the air and water, and we know that diseases began to spread in a terrifying and massive way. Here, the rich decided to leave planet Earth because of the diseases, and the poor were left to live on Earth, while the rich would live in the colony they built in space. On the other hand, we see a little boy named Max, an orphan child raised in an orphanage, and at this moment we learn that Max loved a girl named Frey, and since they were children, they used to play together and watch the colony from afar. Afterwards, the caretaker at the orphanage asks Max what he dreams of, and Max tells her that he dreams of going to space and living in the place of the rich in the colony. But the caretaker tells him not to keep thinking of the colony as something beautiful, and then she gives him a picture of planet Earth. And we know that since then, Max kept it with him. Now we see Max has grown up, living in a room in a very poor place, but we know that the whole Earth became poor. And there is no place for the rich because all the rich are in space in the colony. After that, we see robots controlling humans. And we also know the robots are under the control of the rich. If a robot senses you did something wrong, it will immediately hit you. And if you resist, it will kill you. Then Max, on his way to the robot factory where he works, is suspected by the street robots, who thought he was a thief. They went over, broke his arm, searched his bag but found nothing important, so they left him and walked away. After this, Max goes to the hospital to treat his arm, and by coincidence he meets Frey, whom he loved since he was young and dreamed of marrying. Max was happy to see her. We learn that over the years, she became a nurse. Frey treats Max's arm, and then we see Max leaving the hospital and going to his workplace. At this moment, his manager gets angry at him for being late, but Max goes to finish his work and doesn't care. The next morning, we see Max at the factory, where he is putting robots inside a room that emits deadly nuclear radiation so the robots can work after being assembled. While he is putting them in the room, the door wouldn't close, and it had to be fixed from the inside, not the outside. So Max goes in to fix the door from inside, but unfortunately the door closes and the deadly radiation begins to enter his body. No one could save him because the radiation cycle had to finish before the door would open again. If not, the door would never open. After the cycle ended and the door opened, they brought a robot to carry him out, and they couldn't get him out of the room. In this state, Max had only 5 days left to live, but the owner of the factory, named John, a proud and arrogant rich man, didn't want Max to stay lying on the bed so he wouldn't dirty the rich people's sheets. John didn't want Max to stay on the bed so he wouldn't soil the sheets. Here, we see Max going to a man called Spider. Max tells Spider he wants to go to the rich people's planet, but Spider mocks him. Max says he will work for him and do anything he wants. Spider tells him, "You said you'd do anything." He tells him he has a mission for him, but at this moment Max tells him, "Either send me or I'll hurt you." Now we know Spider has people working with him, and they were sending missions to space, to the place called Elysium, the colony in space. To go to the colony, you need a code on your arm, which is very important so you can get treatment there. But the missions Spider and his men sent could never enter, except for one ship that managed to enter the colony. Any other ship that tried to go to the colony would be blown up from afar before reaching it, because there was someone working with the colony, an agent on Earth, who fired rockets from Earth to space to prevent anyone from reaching the colony. We know that any ship that goes without the colony's permission will be blown up. The only ship that entered Elysium, no one could get treated except for one girl, whose mother carried her to the healing bed that could cure anyone, thanks to the advanced technology there. We know that this bed, once you lie on it, will cure you of any disease. The girl who lay on the bed was completely paralyzed and couldn't walk. After she got out of the machine, she could walk, but the robot stopped them and sent them and everyone with them back to Earth. At this time, in the colony, they were punishing their leader because she killed many people. She was working with a man named Kruger, her agent on Earth. Kruger was useful to her and killed people. Because she killed many people, they removed her from her position, and someone else took her place. Then we see Spider telling Max, "I agree to help you, but on one condition. You become half human, half robot." We know he wants to install a support frame to help him move, to make him much stronger. They also install a screen and a flash in his head so Max can travel to space. To be able to travel to space, Max had to start with the man who didn't want him lying on his bed, the factory owner John, who had planned and prepared everything and was waiting to go on his spaceship to Elysium. After that, Max went and fired a rocket at one of the ship's engines, making the plane crash to the ground, and he was about to die. Then Max took the device installed in his body and transferred the data from John's head to his own. While they were transferring the data, the colony leader found out and sent Kruger. And we know that it was a message from Crow because of the data that John the rich man had, which is very important and secret, and no one is allowed to take or obtain it. With this data, they could destroy the space colony. So they were forced to deal with Crow in order to solve this problem. Afterwards, Crow goes up to the plane and attacks them with his weapons, getting rid of all of them except Max. But Max managed to defeat Crow. Then Crow sent 6 planes to search for Max. Here we see Max injured and in a very bad condition. He wanted to hide anywhere, and in the place where Max was, there was a drone looking for him. But Max quickly crawled under a cart with pigs, and the drone couldn't see him, so it left quickly. As soon as the drone left, Max came out and went to the hospital where Frey works. He stayed in front of the hospital until Frey came out. Suddenly, Max told her, "Help me, I can't enter the hospital because there are many people chasing me." So Frey took Max to her house, and there she was able to help him. Afterwards, Max discovered that Frey had a daughter who was sick with an illness that couldn't be treated on Earth and had to be treated in the space colony. Here, Max left Frey's house and tried to walk away. But as he was walking, he saw the drone plane, so he tried to hide but couldn't. Crow found out where Max was and went with his men to Frey's house. When they arrived, they took Frey and her daughter as hostages. Now we see Max going to Spider and telling him, "Send me to space by any means or I'll die." Spider asks him, "Why are all these people after you and why do they want you?" He tells him, "If you have important information in your head, they will take you." Here, Spider attached a wire to Max's head and started to see the information that Max took from the rich man John. During this, Spider realized that this information is the control key for the space colony and also contains other information. With this information, they could keep the colony open to anyone from Earth without being killed. Here, Max left Spider, took a bomb, and went to meet Crow to free Frey and her daughter. He told him, "If you don't take me to space with you, I'll blow up my head." Of course, he agreed because of the key in Max's head, which could destroy the colony. So they took him with them on the ship, and at that moment, Frey and her daughter were with them. But Spider had placed a tracking device in Max's head. At that moment, they traveled after them to space. On the way to space, Crow and his men tried to take the bomb from Max's hand, but he accidentally pulled it, injuring Crow's face. At that moment, the ship lost balance due to the explosion, and the ship crashed. Then one of Crow's men hit Max and knocked him out, and another chased after Frey and her daughter because Frey was trying to put her daughter on the bed to save her. The man reached her, electrocuted her, and took her with him. At that moment, when Max woke up, he found himself tied up with a device in his mouth and connected to long wires inside him. Then he saw Frey and her daughter on the other side, and the scientists were trying to extract the information from his head. But they realized that to get the information, they had to kill him. In another place, Crow's men took him and put him on the bed that heals anything. And they started the face reconstruction program and healed his face as if nothing happened. At that moment, Crow looked in the mirror and suddenly broke it. As soon as the former president who used to cooperate with him arrived, he hit her with the mirror and threw her next to Frey. Frey's daughter fell into a coma because of what happened to her. Afterwards, Frey tried to save the former president, but unfortunately, she died. Here, Crow decided to go to Max to kill him just as he destroyed his face. At this moment, we see Max manage to escape before Crow arrived, and Spider and his men were able to reach the colony and also reached Max. Here, Max sent Spider's men and Frey and her daughter to protect them and keep them ready so Frey's daughter could be treated at any moment. Then he left Spider and managed alone to get rid of Crow's men in fierce and intense battles. The slogan of the 3D game. At that moment, a man came and approached Mitsu and asked her, "Do you still remember me?" Mitsu was silent, and the man told her, "You are now in the future." When Mitsu heard that, she fainted immediately. Then she woke up and found herself in a strange place. The students were all standing against the wall, as if they were dolls. She kept walking until she reached an old woman. The woman was sitting in front of a screen playing a 3D game, and we realized that what happened to Mitsu was all just a game. And the old woman told Mitsu that you died many years ago and you were used for video games. A glass box. Or everything we're talking about here is what will happen in the future. Mitsu and her friends were frozen inside it, as if they were blood, and Mitsu started screaming and asked her to let them out. But the old woman refused, and here Mitsu got angry and took the stick from the old woman's hand and stabbed herself with it. The old woman started screaming because she would no longer be able to use Mitsu's character for the games. And at the same moment that Mitsu died, all the characters who had been transformed into her died as well. In this case, Mitsu returned to the normal universe, returned to the present, and to her normal life. She was able to get rid of the old woman who had used her in the future for video games. She woke up from the nightmare and lived her life happily and without pain. And here is the end of the movie. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an updates. See you in the next